Hi Shreyans, good evening. Thank you for joining right on time. How are you doing?
I'm good, sir. I'm doing good.
Good,
Good evening to you, sir. And how are you doing?
good. Thank you for asking, Shreyans. So Shreyans, the topic for discussion today is to understand the various interview experiences that you have with various different companies in the world of data science and data analytics. Also to understand how you have gone from the commerce background that you had to a pure data science role, and we would like to understand the journey that you made, the steps that you took, and in the process we'll also understand about the interview experiences that you had with different companies. So why don't you explain about your background and the journey that you've had? Let's begin with that, Shreyans.
Sure. So basically, I'll just give a quick intro about how I've made this journey of 4, 5 years of experience and how I made the transition from a commerce background to into data science and analytics. So basically, I graduated in 2017 from doing my BCom honors and just a normal regular BCom with no other thing, basically no CA, no CS. So after that, I got placed at HSBC, HSBC Bank, and I worked there for a few months. And I realized that working at a bank was very monotonous, and the kind of work I had,
HSBC, what kind of role were you doing at HSBC?
it was a customer service experience kind of a role, nothing related to analytics. It was very basic role, entry level job that I was doing. So after working there for some time, I realized that this is not something that I would like to do for a long period of time. And then what I decided to pursue my master's, which I again did specializing in finance and banking. Now, along with that, what happened is since I had some time and I was just doing my master's, I came across this word called analytics, where one of my cousins he told me that analytics and data science is something very good. And although my brother was from statistics and economics background, it was easier for him. But for me, it was something very new and something just like when you say something in Hebrew, that's what it was. All the understanding of analytics for me was. So that is how it started. And then I saw a couple of institutes. I went in, I enrolled, and I took some demo classes, and that is where I came across Ivy as well. And I joined Ivy back in 2019. And I joined the basic data science and analytics certification, which was there from Ivy, and I started it off in 2019. So what happened during that time is, of course, uh, being someone from a commerce and a completely non-technical background, if I have to be honest, I had no idea apart from Excel how things work. So it was completely for me. So I got to learn. First of all, I had to understand how things work. What is analytics? What are languages basically? I had only heard about it in school that there is something known as C++, Java, those kind of things, but nothing more than that. Just heard. Don't even know how it works. So firstly, I started off slowly. It took me a lot of time initially because someone from a non-technical background, it does take a lot of time. So my suggestion to anybody firstly would be you need to have patience. Firstly, we need to have patience, and it is important to give some time. Give yourself accustomed to it that there is something new that you're going to learn. So these two things are the most important things that whenever
Some
someone,
time and ready to learn. These are the two
yeah,
things that you mentioned. Okay.
yeah, it's the most important things. Firstly, one has to have that willingness to learn. Either it can be anyone can have any kind of motivation. It can be monetary motivation, it can be motivation to change their jobs, it can be motivation of XYZ. But that willingness to learn has to be there, and along with that you need patience. So and both of them are simultaneous to each other. They are like uh, in something known as symbiotic relationship. It
Right.
is interchangeable. So
It's a very good point
that's a
that you mentioned about motivation. I remember one of our learners said that, sir, I have to prove it to my girlfriend that I can do it. And so whatever the motivation is, but you must
yeah,
have a motivation. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
right. So that is the important thing. And once you're clear that okay, you want to do it, and you have the motivation and the discipline, then it's easy. It's not easy, but half of the journey is covered, because that's like taking the first step is the biggest step, I believe. And if you have decided, then it's better to go in completely. So that's how I started off. I remember the modules how it went in IB. It was basic, advanced Excel. Then we had SQL. Then we had a little bit of statistics. Back then we had R, and then we had Python. So of course, Excel. Everybody hears about Excel, and it's fine. Everybody initially they get to know, and whenever someone is even working, so they have used Excel. So I wouldn't say that Excel is something something new that somebody might have heard coming from a commerce background. But then when you step into SQL, that is a major difference, because then you're getting into the coding part. So I have to be really grateful to you, sir, because you were the person who taught me SQL. And apart from that, it was just not SQL that you taught us how to solve problems, case studies. So that was an important thing, having the right logical mindset. That is something which intrigued me a lot. And when I understood that getting to do these kind of case studies, it gave me a higher kick that I need to do this, because it was something that I was looking for. It's not just your day to day job and monotonous job, it's more interesting. So that is how gradually I kept on learning, and slowly and steadily, I would say that discipline, effort, and some you need to have that uh, clarity that okay, I need to spend at least 1 hour a day if I'm working, that at least if not 1 hour, 45 minutes, let's say every day, should be given to it. And maybe
So,
if
I mean,
it's
so you're saying that you gave 1 hour on a consistent basis every day beyond the classes that you did with Ivy Posted, right?
yes. So basically, the idea was I had this thing very clear in my mind. You cannot do anything at one go. You
Okay,
need to make small steps every day, small efforts every day, and then initially it becomes easier. Then later on it becomes easier. So I used to spend approximately, I would say 40, 45 minutes to 1 hour daily. And on weekends, since we were learning on weekends, so I did not used to spend so much time on weekends revising that. So whatever classes we used to have, I used to attend the classes and then make sure during the weekdays, if I need to complete those assignments that are there, or whatever things that I have not understood, and to be prepared basically, so that whenever something I have not understood, I can get it clarified in the next class, and I'm prepared for the next class.
very good.
So
So,
that was
so
the
that one small thing that you mentioned is the very important success mantra in the program. If you, because we give a lot of projects, a lot of case studies, a lot of assignments every week, right? But if you have not worked on those cases or assignments, uh,
right.
then, and when you come to the class next time, then you do not have doubts, right? And we also have practice sessions now before the class, which are mandatory. So you can't even contribute into those practice sessions also. So then, you're not utilizing the class properly. And you
Yeah.
mentioned that you were prepared with your doubts. That's the best way to be actually leveraging the program. Yeah, please continue.
Uh, yeah, so as you said, I used to prepare that. It was not something very difficult, because taking out 45 minutes to 1 hour a day is very easy. However busy a person can be, if they are working, they're not working, one can take out 45 minutes from their work schedule. So even now, when I'm working right now, I have 45 minutes to 1 hour a day. If I have to learn something new again, I can do that.
Very
So
important.
that was the idea. And basically, that is how the transition happened. And since I knew
So
that,
what are the other modules you did? I know you mentioned about SQL, you mentioned about Excel, you had R as well, you had Python as well, right? And
yeah,
you followed the same strategies there as well, that you worked on the projects, you worked on cases.
yeah. So again, now if I have to move from SQL to R, or because that was how the order was. Now R is a proper coding language, which is not more like English also. SQL is a little bit English, but R is more difficult. So that is where my first issue, big issue, if I have to say, that coming from a non-technical background or a commerce background, it was a little difficult. And I'll be very honest, it was not little difficult, it was difficult. So I had, but the thing always clear in my mind was the motivation that I have to do it.
Okay.
So even though I had those issues initially trying to understand, but I tried to make sure that I am doing it. If I'm not able to understand, I was asking questions, and I remember I did ask whoever the trainer was. I remember it was Piyush sir. So I used to have a lot of questions even during classes, and honestly, he used to clear all my doubts. Even if he was not able to clear all the doubts, he used to make sure that I am posting on the chat or those doubts are cleared on the next class. So that is one benefit, not a benefit, advantage I would say that was there in Ivy. And since Ivy has live classes, nowadays a lot of platforms don't have live classes; they have recorded sessions. So that was very advantageous which I found in Ivy, and that is where the things changed, becoming from a non-technical, learning R statistics. Basically it I would say it shaped me up. It's not that it creates you, like you complete the course and you get ready to just start working, but it makes sure, the course makes sure that you are ready enough to clear the interviews, and you have a good basic grasp whatever is required to enter into the world of analytics, make a transition. You get that thing if you're doing it properly. Even if you're not giving 100%, even if a person is giving 60% to 70% of their efforts, that is more than enough to clear and to make that transition. So it's not that you have to be 100%.
Okay. I saw in your LinkedIn profile, and of course, in your resume as well. We tell everybody that the emphasis should be on case studies and the projects that you do as part of the program. I saw in your LinkedIn profile, very nicely you mentioned a few projects as a project section. Just want to put out your LinkedIn profile on the screen for everybody. I like the way that very nicely you mentioned. Of course, your experiences are there, but you have created a section about the projects also, which is a very important thing. And then you have explained the projects like how you explain it on your resume. So what roles in, because you have had multiple experiences with several companies in terms of interviews that you've had. Now I think the last company you were working was Lowe's, which is one of the world's largest hardware company and hardware retailing company, US based. And before that also you worked in a very nice global marketing analytics firm. So what is the role these projects play in the interviews?
Uh, Projects constitute, I would say, 50% of your interview.
Okay.
Apart from the technical skills, it is very important that we have our projects clear in my mind, clear in our mind, and we are able to, it's not just able to show it in the resume only. You are clear in your mind what you have put in the resume and you have done through it. And that can only be achieved when you have actually worked on it. And it's not just about the projects that I have worked on my companies. Even if the projects are done from Ivy, it's very, very important that we are actually doing that project and we are doing it properly. So if that is done, whenever there are questions, I am pretty sure that if a person has done the project on his own rather than just gliding and sliding through the project just for the namesake of it, then it becomes a lot easier to explain also. Then you will be able to means we'll be able, because I have worked on the projects from the end to end, I am able to write about it. There is nothing very different in it or difficult in it because we have worked on it. Same way one can explain whenever the interviewers are asking. And in my all the interviews that I have given, I and the interviews that I have taken also, we judge the candidates or the interviewer judges the candidate a lot based on their projects and the
Okay.
projects how they have would depict. So I would say 50% of the weightage goes into that.
Very good. Let's talk about, so what was the first I know you started with HSBC earlier, but that was a non-analytics role. But after the Ivy Pro Schools program, you joined the first analytics company, right? What was the name of
Right.
that company, if you don't mind?
Criteo.
Okay.
So
And what kind
yeah.
of company was that?
So Criteo is basically an advertisement technology company. It
Okay.
is one of the world's largest. I think it is ranked fourth largest advertisement retargeting company in the world. So it
Sure.
competes directly with the Google, Facebooks of the world.
Right. Perfect. And
Yeah.
if you don't mind, what kind of, in terms of percentage, the salary hike that you got from, your previous role in HSBC as a customer support executive to this role?
So that was around 3x. So
3x,
300.
300%.
Yeah,
Um,
300%.
Good for you. 300%, because again, it was a pure analytics role, pure data science role.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me the interview experience that you had, if you remember, whatever questions that were asked, whatever you remember, and the rounds that you had.
Yeah. So basically, the interview generally everywhere is divided into three sections. One is basically a technical round, the second is a case study round, and the third is basically, I would say, a case study is more around the case studies, and third is the projects that we have done. So
Okay.
these three parts are there in any interview. So
Can you repeat those phases again you mentioned?
yeah, one is a technical round,
Right,
basically coding or whatever the technical round
right,
can be. The
right,
second is a case study round, basically
right.
where the
Basically,
interviewer is giving you situation based or
very
questions
good.
or guesstimates. And the third is the one where you need to explain about the projects you have worked on. So
Perfect.
they ask about the projects. Yeah.
Okay. So in the technical round in this company, what kind of questions were asked? What topics were focused upon?
So first of all, for the first idea was to know that you have a good SQL knowledge.
SQL.
So yeah, the questions primarily focused where, because this company is very data heavy company,
Okay.
and they have e-commerce data of almost all the companies which are there in the world. So the emphasis was on SQL firstly, and the questions were around joins, CTEs, common table of expressions, uh, then Windows functions.
Okay.
A lot of Windows functions were there, uh, and to some extent, yeah, I if I have to sum up, these 3 points were the most things that were asked.
Okay. And in the next, which was about case
Yeah.
studies, if you remember.
Yeah. So another, then apart from this, there was emphasis on Python as well,
Okay.
because so in Python, what they did not want someone very super efficient who can just code in a minute a lot of things,
Mhm.
but the idea was basically to understand that we have the basic Python skills, from using how to use the for loop, how to use uh, if else and break, pass and continue, how much logical reasoning did we have, and were we able to complete those things in a coding setup in Python or not. That was in terms of Python that was asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, what was the next round?
Yeah. So the next was, I would say it was a case study where they had scenarios placed before us. So let's say they are asking X, Y, Z. This is a situation based question. Let's say there is a company who is doing a marketing study and whatever the thing can be, and they want to see that if they change the levers, what is the outcome? Or let's say if a company is planning to run a marketing campaign, and do what are the kind of things you would see that it is beneficial for the company to continue that marketing strategy or not. So basically they want to understand how well can be deep dive into the problem statement. So the core idea is to understand that, and the logical reasoning part, that how well can we come up with a solution. It does not need to be accurate, but it is basically to understand how deep can we go into, and how well in a structured manner can we go into the
Did you
problem solving
attend my
process.
analytical problem solving class?
Yes, sir. uh,
Was it helpful here? Was it related to this round?
it was 100% helpful, sir, because all these things, as you told, the whatever I learned in IV, the estimates and how to solve case studies, those kind of things really helped me, because it gives you a path how you need to go about questions and how well you can break it down. It's basically how, what I have learned from you is how well you can break down the question and go deep into it. So
Very,
that
very
was the
important
thing I
skill set. Lot of our learners, current learners, do not take that class module, analytical problem solving module, where we talk about how do you break down the problem, how do you handle the case study round, and what are the different techniques. They don't take it seriously because there are no tools we are training in this particular module. We are only talking about frameworks, mental techniques. So a lot of people do not end up taking that class, because there's no Python, no R, no data engineer. So, but I keep saying that, they will, almost all good companies which are going to give you a lot of money will always have a round on problem solving or case study. So this is a very important tip that you're giving. All right. What else?
Yeah. So once these two rounds were done, the third round, as I told you, they asked about the projects. It is now up to us how well we have defined it in our CV, and how much the amount that we have defined, do we really know it or not. So again, over here, I had no prior projects. I had mentioned projects which I had done in IV only. And it's not that something that you need to just say for the sake of saying. I did it, and they asked me questions based on that only, relevant questions. And it is basically a parameter to judge that whether what we have mentioned in the resume is right or not. Are we not just putting up things for the sake of it? That is the main idea of projects, what I thought was asked back then.
Okay, very good.
So yeah.
And any kind of, I'm sure you did a lot of company research on this company as well before going into the interview, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the next company that you went to.
Yeah.
The next company
So
was Lowe's,
lows.
right? Okay.
Lows.
And how
Yeah.
much was the salary hike in terms of percentage here?
uh So from Criteo to Loaves, it wasn't too much because I had completed almost 3 years, and it's, I wouldn't say I got a very huge hike in terms of change from there to here. But since the growth trajectory at Criteo was very good for me, because I was able to learn quickly, and a lot of it came from you, sir. Honestly, because you taught a lot of things, and the most important skill set that I learned from Ivy is how to translate business problem into actions.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So in Lowe's, if you remember the interview rounds that you had, what kind of rounds did you have in with Lowe's?
So there were again uh, 3 rounds which I had with Lowe's, and the idea of each round was first to understand the technical, uh, how much technical acumen we have. Second, again, they had the case study questions, asking us around given questions. They had their questions in mind, and how we go about that problem solving skills. And third, again, the projects that I had mentioned in my resume. So they went a little deeper into that. And then, since I was making a switch from e-commerce to e-commerce, they wanted to understand the domain knowledge or domain expertise I
It
have.
was an experience role as well.
Yeah.
So they wanted to understand the domain knowledge as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now from Lowe's, you're going to, what I understand, that you got a very good hike and you're going to another company. Do you think is the right time to talk about that company? Can you talk about that company and where you're going?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about it. So it is a marketing company where I'm going to get into, and it is more around a media agency, and it is a client-based company. So it is somewhat similar to the e-commerce domain or the work I was doing prior at Criteo, but again having a flavor of a lot of other things as well.
So, Shreyans, what I understand is in your interview experiences with three different companies and pure data analytics companies, I'm not considering the previous non-data analytics roles that you had. There are some commonalities, is what I'm hearing, right? So almost all companies that you have interviewed with have asked three different rounds of questions. One, technical rounds where the focus has been on SQL programming and these concepts, right? Then, and I'm sure some statistical concepts and machine learning concepts might have been also asked. Some supervised algorithms and unsupervised algorithms, so I'm sure must have been asked in the technical rounds.
Yes.
Second has been on case studies, right, where they test your problem solving skills, where our Ivy Pro's analytical problem solving module comes into the picture, where we talk about guesstimates, approaches towards breaking down the big problem into smaller steps and applying various different case study solving techniques there, right? Basically, to assess your problem solving skills. The third that you mentioned was more from your CV, the kind of projects that you have done, and if it is an experienced role that you're interviewing with or for, then your domain experience as well. That's what I'm hearing.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. That is the correct
Okay.
thing.
All right. Now, towards the end, I want to ask you, what are the specific roles of help that you think you got from Ivy Pro School's data science and data analytics program that you enrolled into, and the entire support team and the faculty team, if you want to talk about that.
Uh, so the whole change or my whole entering into the world of analytics or data science has been through Ivy only.
Okay.
So there is no second option, no second thing that I have to mention. And initially, I was a little skeptical that whether I'll be able to complete or not.
But
And
you see,
I,
a lot of people who come with commerce background, right? They have this fear that will I be able to do this program, right? And in your case, you seem to have not defined a box around you, right? You said that hey, there is no box around me. I am from X background, Y background, doesn't matter. If I have to do it, and you've been saying since the beginning of the discussion that if you have the right motivation, then you will end up doing it. So how do you define? How did you come out of this box? How did you define this mindset around you?
yeah. So first of all, as you told, motivation is one of the key factors that I had to do. And second is a very simple thinking I had. If I have given in the money, I am doing it. Why don't we do it completely? I have the time. I have given the money, and what else means? It's just a thing of trying and testing, right? If you feel that you're doing it good, then you can just go on with the flow. There is nothing stopping us, anybody, from doing anything. I believe in the world right now. So it's just a matter of perception that we have in ourselves. There is no limit. Or I have seen people, uh, in my own experience, I have seen people who have less knowledge than me.
Hmm.
Let me be very clear, less knowledge than me in terms of anything. Maybe I know computers a little bit before, means what they knew, but they have become so good data engineers. They
Hmm.
have become very good machine learning scientists. So there is no end to learning, I believe, and it's we have to keep it very simple. There is no point to overcomplicate things
Or
and
overthink.
yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, in my own experience of 16 years, right, being part of this industry, I can tell you one thing for sure, that people who do not end up defining any box around it, box around themselves, and they believe that they can learn anything. You see, data science is much easier to learn than many other verticals in the world. Of course,
yeah,
you have to have a sincere, a structured approach, and you have to follow the disciplined approach that as you also mentioned that that 1 hour daily, 1.5 hours daily, right? I mean, if you're able to dedicate from even if you're working to the program, then you will be able to find the success. That's something that I have always believed, and I've seen it. So many thousands of people that we have trained, and we've been successfully able to place them. And that's the only mantra that works. People who are sincere, disciplined, and believe in giving regular time to the program, they find success. One more thing I found very interesting about you, Shreyans, was that because I've been having conversations with you even after you had graduated from Ivy, and one thing that I notice is when you talk, you always feel that there is nothing that I can't learn. I mean, and I remember last time also, I think last week when we met face to face, you mentioned that you have time, even though you are working full time in a hard pressing data science role, and you still believe that you have time to contribute or to learn. So how do you manage your time? I mean, what is it that, if you can actually give us some, shed some light onto your time management skills?
so this is something uh, I have developed over the years, not something that came to me very quickly. But we have 24 hours in the day. We sleep for 8. The rest is 16. We work for 9. So again, we have 7 hours. 7 hours, you can do a lot of things. You eat, I don't think a lot of people work 8 hours, 9 hours also. So, and it's more about priorities, I believe, rather than anything. So, if you have your priority A, B, C, D defined, so you know which one you have to complete first, then your second, third, fourth, fifth. And one important thing that I have developed is pre-plan the day before the last night.
Okay,
So
very
if
good.
I
Very,
have
very, very good. Plan your next day one day prior.
Yeah, the
Very
last night. So whatever my plans are for tomorrow, of course, a lot of things are not planned, but the major things that we know already know are there in the what I need to do tomorrow. I try to make sure that I plan it the previous night. Maybe I am not successful all the time, but it brings in a kind of routine and it makes it life easier.
very good.
So
Very good tip. Very, very strong tip, Shreyans. All right, Shreyans, it was indeed a pleasure talking to you. And when we talk to, I mean, I talk to so many learners that we have in Ivy Pro School, but a lot of people are hassled, a lot of people are confused. But whenever I talk to you, you sound very sorted, you sound calm. You do not have an engineering program degree, or you do not have an econometrics kind of a background either. But you had one clarity in your mind that I have given money, I'm going to give time, and I'm going to be successful. And you never
yeah,
doubted yourself, right? I mean, I remember you always went with that thought process that I can learn, right? And you participated in the class as well. So which is the great thing, which is a few of the great things that you've done. And this calmness, this not overthinking or over analyzing or being worried all the time, that in itself gives you that mental freedom to learn something better, especially when you're learning something new. So
yeah,
kudos to you, Shreyans, how you manage yourself, and how you sound so calm all the time, and how you sound so sorted, which is very good at this young age. If you know what you're doing and what you really want to learn, and managing your time in such a way that you're ready for the next day one day prior. So these are great qualities that you have, and I hope you will meet all the success that you plan to meet, and all the best for your career, and hope to see you again face to face, Shreyans, very soon. Thank you for your
same here, sir.
contribution.
And again, a big shout out to everyone, sir, at Ivy, including you, the whole Ivy team, be it the counselors. And I forgot to mention one important point that
Sure.
it's not just about you're going into Ivy to learn, it's more about they help you shape up the career.
Okay.
It's not just educational purpose because we can learn that online as well. It's about you have the counseling sessions, you provide in between classes, you take the feedbacks regularly, and then you want to understand how the students are feeling, how confident they are post the classes, as well as the exams that are there. So these things give an added benefit, which I found it to be very useful and helped me a lot during the IB. And I would like to thank each and everyone at IB and all my journey. And whatever I am today, I believe IB has played a very big role in it. So thank you. That's from my heart, and I would like to thank you and everyone at IB.
Really appreciate it, and really flattered with your words and acknowledgement that you give to us, Shreyans. But I mean, I always say that is the individual's effort that matters quite a bit, because you are calm, because you are sorted, because you do not overthink, and because you are planned, right, and you were disciplined towards your plan. Because of that, you found the success, and I'm sure in the future years as well, you'll find success with the I mean, same mantra, right? I mean, life is supposed to be very easy thing to plan,
Simple.
simple. As long as we try and keep it as simple as possible, you will be able to achieve what you plan to achieve. So, Shreyan, thanks a lot for your encouragement, and it really encourages us, the words that you mentioned, and hopefully our learners who are hearing this conversation as well also get inspired with your thought processes. Thank you, Shreyans. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Welcome, sir. Bye bye.